I'm CK. Tonight we've got something I hope will be interesting. It's a little tube amplifier using the 6J1 tube from China, and hopefully it'll sound good. We'll see how it goes together and whether we can use it as an interesting softener to a digital input, for example. So we'll put it together, see how it sounds, and I hope you enjoy the video. Here's the bag, and as you can see it's got a QR code on it. The QR code did not resolve to anything that is usable, and there's no build guide on the product page on Amazon, so we'll see how we put this together. And as usual, instead of trying to open the bag like a normal human being, I'll just tear it open because I'm terrible at bags. Let's see what we got. Let's look at the circuit board first. Okay, this is the back side. Takes 12.6 volts, and then plus 28 volts, minus 28 volts. We'll see how I manage that. The board quality itself looks pretty good. They're all through-hole plated solder points. Board's good quality. And as we look here, the values for all the components are listed on the board, so we don't technically need a build guide. But we'll see here are the two tubes, bunch of electrolytic caps, bunch of resistors, some disc caps, some transistors, and that looks like a pot, but I'm not sure about that. And then a big dissipating resistor. So let's see what's in the bag. Here I assume, oh man, there's parts stuck everywhere. I assume that the two tubes are in here. We'll take a look. They're well packed. They're not going to break in shipping, that's for sure. Not going to break because I can't get them out. Cute little tubes. I'm looking at the construction because I've seen a lot of tubes both from the US, from Britain, from Germany, and from the Soviet Union and now Russian Federation. And this is not great quality assembly, but it'll probably work. See what else we got. Got a bunch of these 470 microfarad caps. These are pretty beefy. They're not kidding around there. Tube socket. I'm going to put all those in that bin. We've got stereo out, looks like, which will go, we'll say it goes here because that's where it appears to fit. And we'll call this stereo in, even though again the board is marked in Chinese characters and I am not competent in Chinese, so we'll have to experiment with that when we get to it. Little pot pins are all bent on this. That's the one that goes over here for volume or gain. And it gets its own nice little knob. Again, a bunch of these 470s. Just dump the rest of the electronics in here. And that's that big 2 ohm resistor. Yeah, the problem is, oh, okay. So we've got one power supply point, which will go here. And I don't know. Oh, okay. This is AC 12 volt going into here, which is good because I've got plenty of AC 12 volt power supplies lying around. And then the components themselves, not too many and nothing particularly interesting, just standard stuff. So it'll probably be a pretty quick build. Let me see how these sockets fit on the board. I've seen better quality. In fact, I feel like getting a 12AX7 socket and putting it in here because these are kind of cheesy and cheap, but I won't. So it looks like we've got 2 diodes in the center too. I didn't see any, but I wasn't looking for diodes. Let me take a look. Oh, it's got actual LEDs. Oh, they're being cute. They have little LEDs that will go under the tubes to illuminate the tubes. Cute. So that's it. Looks pretty straightforward. We'll get the soldering iron heated up and we'll start putting this thing together. Okay, my water heater came on just before I started working, but that's okay because we're just going to do all the resistors right now. So it'll be resistor time. So that's all the resistors, and one thing I noticed, these are pretty cheap. The leads are very thin. You can see some of the indicator stripes are worn. I didn't even take. The painting's very bad. I think that's pretty cheap. Now we'll just do the 4 diodes, and same thing. Normally these part number diodes have some beefy leads on them, but these are barely standard resistor lead thickness. Also, the holes on the board are very big. I mean, the resistor leads are just slopping around in those holes. It's very silly. So this is not one of the higher quality kits you're going to run into. At least I don't think these are reclaimed parts. I think they're new parts. They're just not very good quality new parts. Get the diodes in. Now we'll do the... Oops. What are you doing hiding here? Where do you go? Oh, there it is. That's the 200. Yeah, see? I don't know if you can. That's just slopping around in there. Now we'll do our 105. to 105. Another 105. Guess they're all the same for the disc caps. They're all 1 microfarad. Alright, I'm going to put the transistors on now. I think they're all the same. Nope. 647s and 667s. These are very tall transistors, as you may notice here. Taller than your average run-of-the-mill transistor, which is another kind of indication that they're not the best quality. I'm going to drop the LEDs in here too. They're marked well. I mean, the positive and negative terminal are marked well for the LEDs, which is always a big plus. Okay, that's a little tilted. I'm going to heat it back up on the back here and push on it. Get it to click straight. Yep. Much better. Now, all the electrolytics, and they too are marked very well. So that's all the electronics components except for this one diode. I'm going to take another quick look to see if I did miss that. Nope, no empty spaces. So next we'll put the sockets on, and these are so cheap. Again, I think a good preamp tube socket costs more than this whole kit costs. Okay, I'm going to get my locking tweezers. Hold this guy on for a second. Solder one leg. And that's good. Yeah, I'm not sure even what material this is. Might be a ceramic. Let me get an X-Acto knife blade and cut on it a little bit. Yeah, that's a ceramic. Huh. I was wondering how it would hold up to the heat of the tube if it was cheap plastic, and it's not. It's cheap ceramic. But it certainly won't melt. Now we'll put the input and the output jacks on. And they clip in. Well, they would clip in if these holes weren't so huge. Okay, now the volume pot. And I want to dress these pins up a little bit more because they are bent. Now we'll put the legs on. And again, as I'm putting this on, I'm looking on the back of the board to see if I did miss any holes. And nope, that diode is an extra diode. Oh, it's even a clicky. I didn't realize that. Now we'll put the tubes in. I think the pins are gonna go in okay. Even though, again, these sockets are pretty bad. Pins are straight. And when you put sockets in, I mean tubes and sockets, gosh, this is not going to work. Always be very careful when you're straightening pins on tubes, because you don't want to break the vacuum at the base. God, these are all splayed out. I think it'll go in. Yeah, it's going in. Okay, so there it is. Quick build, simple build, and now let me round up some stuff to see if this actually works. Let's see if this thing works. I'm not real confident because the Amazon comments were not positive about this. So I'm going to be playing from my iPod. Yes, it's an iPod. It still works. And I'm going to be using, to start at least, the speaker, which is a 6-inch guitar amp speaker, 8 ohm. And just to show you that it actually can drive, I'm plugged into the iPod and it's playing, and I touch the speaker to it. So the iPod can certainly drive that load. So let's see if this thing can. Let me unplug that. Let me plug in my jumper there. And I'm pretty sure this is in and this is out. Get that out of the way. So I'm going to plug into the left side of both of these. The iPod is currently paused. When I pulled the jack out, it automatically pauses. So let's see. We'll turn it on. The LEDs are lit, which is not interesting. But what is interesting is cathode heater's on here. Cathode heater is on here. I think you can see that. I hope you can see that. Let me turn this light off. So you should be able to, you may be able to see an orange glow showing that both the tubes are powered. I'm running this at 12 volt AC with 5 amp, which should be more than plenty to do this. So let's see, we'll turn the iPad back on. Oh, okay, it's all the way up. And let me move the mic real close. So maybe, and I don't know until I play this back, you may hear very, very faintly the music coming through. I mean, if the iPod can drive the speaker with just the standard semiconductor, a dual tube amp should be able to drive this a lot louder than that. Here, you may be able to, let me try and put you in front of it again. And that's with the volume all the way up. Let me turn it down because maybe it's reversed. Nope, now it just goes completely away. So the output ain't much of nothing. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to try something else. Let's see. I'll try this little speaker here, so hold on a second while I unsolder these leads that I soldered on here and solder them onto the speaker momentarily. I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch me soldering too much. Even though actually you've been watching me solder a lot, so I don't think it'll be too much of a strain on your systems. That's tight, okay. So that's plugged in well. Now we'll turn the music back on. Turn this up. Interesting, I'm not hearing anything in this speaker. Maybe it got to the end. Let me go back to the beginning. Nope, not hearing a thing from this one. Make sure that's turned all the way up. It still is turned all the way up. I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to switch to the other channel, just because maybe there's something in there, something going goofy here. Okay, folks. I'm going to bring you close to this one too. I have no idea if you can hear that. I can barely hear it. So this is not a very good amp. I might even call it an attenuator. It's taking the signal and reducing it, which I don't think is really what I had in mind or what anybody would have in mind for a tube amp. So went together fine with, whatever, with cheap parts, but in the end it just doesn't work. Let me do some voltage checks here, because there are some points here where it's got some numbers, and we'll see if we're actually getting the voltage. I think this is DC, but I'm not certain. We'll see. The fluke doesn't care. It'll figure it out. Okay, so I'm getting 13 volts here, which says 12.6 volts. This says 28 volt, and that's showing about 32, so it's running high, but that's not a big deal. Let's see, this one's negative 28, and it's coming in at 32. So I'm getting voltages where it says I should be getting voltages, but it's not doing anything. I mean, it is taking a signal and reducing the output, which is not great. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not good. This one ends up being not good. Hope you enjoyed the video.